Sabbath day and keep it holy. One of the biggest mistakes of the Christian world is to disregard the Sabbath. I always say, every day is the day of Thanksgiving. You can celebrate and you can worship God any day, but he says there is a day set aside for worship. It's a day when he looks on his people for worship, and that day was the Sabbath from that day to now, and that day remains the day on our calendar called Saturday. Nobody on earth could convince me otherwise. Because the same Jesus that you said your church is founded on, the same belief, he worshiped on the same Sabbath. Remember, he was a Jew, and he never violated the laws of the Jew, because he said salvation comes through these people. So he came through that lineage, and they know which day was the Sabbath. Yes. I try to tell people, to me it's simple. You know, a blind man can see. Stevie Wonder can see that. If I say that to him now, he might say, I see. But we know he can't see, but he can see. All I'm saying is, when we look at this next commandment, remember your Sabbath day to keep it holy. And you know how he backed it up? He says, and 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. You have 6 days to do whatever you want, Father Yahweh is saying. You can do all your work for 6 straight days. He only requires 1. So, Satan has given us 6 days. Instead of you having 6 days of labor, we got 7 days of labor. Because we work all year round. We work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because work can kill us. Work is a part of the curse on the earth that Adam should have gotten. Adam didn't get a direct curse, but the earth was cursed, which made it hard for Adam. And what Adam had to do? Work. He said, now Adam, by the sweat of your face. That means Adam, take away my privilege to just talk to the tree and say, give me a fruit. Now I got to go there and rocks are dang in the ground, and I got to dig the rocks up to plant the fruit. Huh? What I'm saying to you is this. Let's take Yahweh at his word, somebody. Let's take him at his word. He says, you got 6 days, do what you want, give me 7, and look here. He didn't say any one of the 7. One of them is called the Sabbath. Go back to the Jewish people. Go back to your heritage. Because if I preach the gospel, then I could only be preaching a gospel that come through the Jews. Anyone who is in Christianity claim to be preaching the gospel. The gospel they're preaching is the gospel of salvation, and salvation only comes through one set of people. Y'all got like that or don't like it. So which means we all got to come back to the truth of who we are and get back to this Sabbath. This country, I like to say this, the Bahamas is a Jewish nation because they know the Sabbath. The Sabbath starts sunset on Friday. Every government business is closed by sunset on Friday. Because when Sir Lynden Pinland came into power, 3 months after he came into power, he made sure all government places was closed. When I grew up, we used to get off from school at 12 o'clock in the day on Friday. This country was founded on this Sabbath system. People need to understand that in every country you go, basically you see government offices stop working. I don't care where you go, in any of these islands. Government offices are closed from Friday evening. Why? Because Saturday is the Sabbath. Even the government don't want to work on the Sabbath. But what? The people want to work? Ain't something wrong with that? Your government is a Sabbath day worshiping government. The system is his own because government workers don't work on Saturday. But the church does. In violation of what the government does. The church work on Saturdays. Everybody is finding work to do. They have so much funerals today. It's a big business. Oh, on the Sabbath, work. He says, for the 6 days, do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath. On it, you shall do no work. You, nor your daughters, nor your sons, nor your maids, nor your mechanics, nor your gardeners, nor your housekeepers. I have a man who comes to clean my yard, and definitely he will not come on a Saturday. And he will not come on a Sunday either. Because I tell him, since you respect my Saturday, I respect your Sunday. Don't come clean my yard on Sunday. And we got a deal. What I'm saying is, our Sabbath day needs to be reignited. Our thirst for the righteousness. See, because the church teaches that these things have been done away with, that's the problem. We are violating it, even though, I say it again, even the government officers and your prime ministers and your presidents and your whoever they are all over the world, if they're part of Christianity, which is a mixed bag, they're off on the weekend. And they be like, thank God it's Friday. For true. Thank God it's Friday. Because once Friday evening, you can thank God for Saturday. Because Saturday is his day. So go ahead and say TGIF to some friend. And then finally, after he finished telling you to remember the Sabbath day, when we get to verse 12, he shifts gear. Now those first 11 verses was all about him. That's why the scripture says the whole commandment can be wrapped up in two phrases, two words. Love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. And then love your neighbor as yourself. Let me show you how this commandment sets it up. Right there at the end of that verse number 8 ends his speaking about himself. Love me, obey me, keep my commandments. And if you don't keep my commandments, I will curse your third and fourth generation. And I'm going to all about him. But listen to verse number 12. It says, now honor your father and your mother. Why? So your days may be long upon the land which Yahweh or God has given you. Then he says, now start to love. Honor your parents. Love your parents. Appreciate your parents. Now, if your parent is a parent who did not obey her parent, then most likely you're not going to obey your mother either. There's a curse down the generational pipe. So here is a mother who did not respect God, who decided, I ain't going to church. I ain't going to do what I want to do. And then she have a child. And the child can go up and tell, but you ain't been to church, so I ain't got to church either. And then when the child ends up in jail, nobody knows God. Nobody can run to the church and say, oh, but Pastor, we need you to go and help us with that. No, the curse has already come down the pipe. And so what we need to do is try to get you back to understand that if you honor your parents, if you love your parents, you will live long on the land. But that's why so many young people are dying today. Somebody missed the boat of honoring and respecting their parents. We got parents going to fight teachers, for God's sake. We got parents, the gall of a parent to go and want to fight a teacher over what the child says. Honor your parents, and you will, it says you will live. You know why? Because your parents will teach you from their experience what they have done. Please don't do it. Plenty grandmas have plenty experience to share with their grandchildren, but their grandchildren think grandmas them are only for food. Nobody listens. The child don't listen to the mother don't listen to her mother, and the child don't listen to it's a system. if you don't honor those who are in authority over you, then how could you honor God? He's saying, just like how you love your parents and say obey your parents, you ought to love me and obey me in the same way. We're running out of time here, so let me speed up. If you want to live long, then these are the ones that are going to finally hold us in here today. Verse 13, 14, 15, and 16. He's saying, if you don't love your parents, if you don't obey those who are in authority over you, then he's saying, you shall not kill. He says, thou shalt not murder. Do we know what is killing on our land today? The spirit of murder, the spirit of Cain is in the land today. Not just here, throughout the Christian community, all over the world. Why is it so predominantly Christians? Because in some of them places, if you commit murder, you get murdered. There are some things in the 613 laws of the Jewish family in effect in Israel today. Many things you could be hanged for, hand cut off and all that. What I'm saying is, here is what the word of Yahweh says. Thou shalt not kill. How many churches try to show people what does that mean? Thou shalt not murder. Let me tell you something. It is simple as this. Don't kill nothing that you're not going to eat. Don't kill a dog just because it's a dog. Be like some of them other people. Eat them. Don't murder. Don't intentionally kill. You have a right to defend yourself. But not murder intentionally because it's just another person who did you wrong. That's murder. That's murder with intent. And the Father said you shouldn't do it. How many people teach that? Then it says you should not commit adultery. Go with a woman or man who's not your husband or wife. That's simple. And then there's a lesser crime for the single people. But we will talk about that now. These are just the words. I'm not adding anything to this. I'm just saying, do not steal. What is stealing? Somebody got to know what is stealing. Taking something that does not belong to you, especially without the permission of the person. That's what we need to be teaching. But they say, no, the laws are done away with. I got a problem with that. Do not give false testimonies. Don't bring false witnesses against people just because you could imagine up a good story and get the person in trouble. Do not do it. Do not envision, do not use your soul, which is your mind, which is a part of your soul, and your imagination, which is a part of your soul, to come up with trickeries and lies and cause trouble. That's what this Bible is saying. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. This is the last of the covenant. So if you do these things, you'll be showing love for your neighbor. He's saying this is how you love your neighbor. Don't steal from them. Don't lie on them. Don't cheat with your neighbor's wife or husband. Don't commit any kind of covert action. Covetousness is a sin. Don't envy then the other person's things. Don't be envious of his house and his car. If he have a car, thank God for him. He got a better car than you, thank God for him. Thank God for the little jalopy you driving, because it still gets you from A to B. It may take a little longer, but it'll get you there. When we stop being covetous, when we stop envying each other, this is what we ought to be preaching from this law. But no, the laws are done away with. But that's not even true. Because if you steal, the government still have a law, some law officers to lock you up. If you steal, you will still go to jail. If you murder, you will still go to jail. If you commit adultery, you can still be in prison. All of these things are still the law, but how could the law be done away with? We want you to take this moment. If this word has reached your heart, if something we said in here today pricks your spirit, write us, call us. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on all of the active systems. Just put my name in Apostle JC. It should come up. Put an El Shaddai Ministry. You can find me. Not that hard to find these days. Write me. Call me. Text me. So I could know that these words are coming true to you. The announcer will immediately give you the rest of the details on how to reach us. Yahweh bless you. Yahweh keeps you. Yahweh makes his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahweh lifts up the light of his countenance upon all of you and give you his peace. Shalom.
Shalom.